So we're starting on page 6-7 in the book. We're doing the O-ring, which is a sweep. Okay. So I'm starting new. I'm doing a new file. It's going to be a metric part. So, oh, I'm sorry. No, an inch part. So I'm going part dash IN, and I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it in my homework file. And I'm going to call it O-ring. And I'm going to make it all caps so I don't get dinged on my homework. I'm going to click save. And I didn't have a description. So I'm going to go to File, Properties. And in my description, I'm going to say O-ring flashlight. And then okay. Okay. And notice I can change my, in my browser, I can use the tree display to show the name of the file and the description. And a lot of times I do that at work so I can kind of keep track of stuff. So I'm going to save that. Does anybody need more time to get their file set up before we start with our sweep? Okay, so we've got our file named in the description. I'm on the bottom of page 6-7, and you may recall a sweep has two sketches, a path and a profile. So I'm going to do the path first, and the path sketch is going to go on the front plane. So I'm going to select the front plane, and I'm going to go new sketch, and I'm going to select the circle tool. I'm going to make it coincident to the origin. I'm going to make a big circle, just like that. Now I'm on page 6-8. And if you look on 6-8, it has you give a dimension on the circle, and the dimension is going to be 4.35 diameter. Okay. Okay. So this is our path. So I'm going to exit this sketch, and I'm going to rename it path. Because remember, with a sweep, you need two sketches. One sketch is going to be your profile, and one is going to be your path. This is the path. All right. So we need to do a second sketch. And that sketch is going to go, that sketch is going to go on the, a perpendicular plane. So notice the path is on the front plane. So we can either use the top plane or the right plane for a profile. Do you see that? So in the book, She does the profile inside of the swept boss base feature. I don't necessarily like doing that because sometimes you get into a mistake. The good thing about doing it the way the book does it is that it will automatically place the sketch coincident. It'll place it correctly. So I'll show you both ways, just so you can see the two different ways. So I'm going to show you the way that isn't in the book, and then I'll show you the way that is in the book. Okay? So you can see both ways. And I just want to double check that I said Kelby is here. Yes. Okay. All right. So, so you don't need to necessarily follow me because I'm showing you an alternate way that isn't in the book. And then I'll do the way that is in the book. So you can see. So I'm going to do the profile sketch on the right plane. So I'm going to select the right plane. I'm going to say new sketch. And then I'm going to just draw a little circle out here. And I'm going to give it a dimension of 0.125. And then I'm going to switch to an isometric view. And notice that this circle is just on that plane and it's no relationship at all to that path. So in order for the sweep to work properly, I need to have that profile have a relationship with the path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the center point of that little tiny circle and hold down my control key and select the path and add a pierce relationship. And notice what it did. It hopped that little tiny circle onto the path. And then I'm going to green check. I'm going to exit the sketch and I'm going to name that profile. So now I have two sketches, the path and the profile. And so then I can come over here and I can select the sweep boss space tool from the ribbon. And right here, it's asking me for the profile. And this is why I like naming my sketches, because if I name the sketches, it's easy for me to see what's what. And I can come over here and I can say, I want the profile. And if I click over here, it says, oh, I want the path. So I'll select the path sketch and notice it gives me this nice, cool preview. And then I can green check. Ta-da! I have an O-ring. Very nice. So I'm going to undo that. Okay. And I'm going to exit the sketch and I'm going to delete the profile. Okay, so now I just have the path. And I'm on step number 19 on page 6-8. Okay, and so now I'm going to do it the way that she does it in the book so you can see the other way to do a sweep. Okay, any questions about what I just did? Zach?
What's the difference between a pierce and a coincident constraint?
Well, a pierce basically normally pierces through the center of a circle or an arc.
Okay, so it's really just for circles and arcs?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from anybody? Anybody confused about anything I just did? Okay, so now I'm going by the book, so you can see a different way. And I'm going to click on Swept Boss Base, okay? And notice it says Sketch Profile or Circular Profile, all right? And I'm going to click on the Circular Profile. So it automatically knows that I'm making a circle. So I don't have to draw a circle. And this is for the path. So I'm going to select the path. And then I'm going to change the value of my circle to 0.125. See that? And then I didn't have to do that Pierce relationship, it automatically placed it. Do you see that? So it's a little bit easier and faster. And then I'm going to green check. Okay. Any questions about what I just did? Everybody good? So everybody should have their O-ring. Now, normally what I want to do is I get, I kind of like making my O-ring look O-ringy. So I usually go to my appearance and locate rubber, and I double left click on the matte rubber and make it look more like an O-ring. And then I'm going to save it. Okay, so now my O-ring looks more O-ringy. All right. So now I am going to the next page, which is 6-9. All right, and we want to make 3 different sizes of the O-ring: the small, a medium, and a large. So a mama bear, a papa bear, and a baby bear O-ring. Okay, and a lot of times in real life, you want to make an O-ring or a box or a screen or something, and it might have multiple sizes. So instead of making 3 different files or 5 bazillion files, we can create one file, which is what we have, and then we can do what's called a table-driven part, where we use an Excel spreadsheet to control what the different sizes and shapes of the part is. So if you come over here, the second tab or the third tab here, first one's the feature manager, second one's the property manager, third one's the configuration manager. So I'm going to click on this third tab, and what I want to do is I want to insert a design table. All right. So there are a couple different ways I can do it. I could go right click on it, and notice I don't have insert design table right there, but I can come over and go insert tables, design table. And you do need to have Excel for it to work, because remember I've talked about the fact that SolidWorks and Microsoft have a partnership agreement. So we're going to go insert tables, design table. Okay, and if you look over here, we've got an Autocreate, and what Autocreate does is it looks at whatever the existing properties are in the file, and it uses those properties to fill in the blanks for the table. So I'm going to put a enable or right here where it says Autocreate, and I'm going to green check. There's a little bit of a pause here while it brings up Excel. And I get this little dialog box right here, and it shows me 2 dimensions. And one is the dimension on the path. What dimension do you think that is? Margaret doesn't want to say.
It's the diameter of the O-ring.
Oh, there's the unmute button. I think it's going to be that diameter of the O-ring, like the whole thing.
It's the diameter of the path, the big circle that we
Yeah.
Okay, so that 4.35 dimension. Okay, and what do you think that D3 is?
Probably the, what I want to call thickness of the O-ring, but that's not quite the right word, the profile.
Yeah, the diameter for the profile, and that would be the thickness of the O-ring. So we're going to say yeah. So I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to select both of those. Okay, because I want both of those dimensions to be for my 3 sizes, okay? And I'm gonna say okay. And notice it automatically filled in the values. Do you see that? Okay, now notice you see the table over here and you see the design table over here. Now, at least one person is going to accidentally left click in the screen. And when they do that, it's going to close the design table. Okay, and then there's a moment of panic when you try and figure out how to get back your design table. So how to get back your design table is you just right click on the design table and say edit table. Okay, so locate the design table in the configuration window and right click and go edit table, and that'll bring it right back. So it doesn't delete it. When it comes back, it asks you if there's anything else you want to add to the table. I don't want to add anything else, so I'm going to say okay. All right, so we're going to have 3 sizes, and my sizes are going to be small, medium, and large. Okay. And now I'm on page 6-10. And for some reason, she goes from inches to millimeters. We're in an inch part, but she gave me sizes for millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 100, and I'm going to put mm for millimeters, and 3 mm, and then 150 mm, and then 4 mm, and SolidWorks will automatically do the conversion. It'll do the math. So as long as I put mm for millimeters, SolidWorks knows what size it is and can convert the millimeters units to inches. Okay, so I've got 100 millimeters, 150 millimeters, 200, and then for the profile, it's 3, 4, and 5. Anybody needing help? Have any questions? And then I'm gonna left click, and I think I talked about the fact that SolidWorks, there are a couple, this is one of the few exercises you need Excel. The toolbox is the other one. So if you don't have those, it creates problems. But notice that I've got large, medium, small. See that? And I'm gonna hide that for a second. So these, to activate, I just double click on the different sizes. All right. And if I want to edit the table, I can just come back up. There's the table. And notice that the table shows me the sizes in inches now. So SolidWorks, like I said, did the math where it shows me what's what. Okay, so at this point, she's done in the exercise. She's pretty much, yeah, she's pretty much done with the exercise, but I'm just getting started. Okay, I want to show you how to do the drawing, and I also want to show you some of the cool things about I've finished with what's in the book, but now I'm going to show you some stuff that's not in the book. So that's going to make it a little bit more interesting for you to follow along. But notice that I've got all these different sizes, and if you look in the browser, it shows me what size you see. Do you see that at the top of the browser? It's saying small for the configuration. So depending on what configuration is active, it's gonna give me that configuration. I don't know why mine isn't, save it. Okay. And show the configuration. Show the configuration. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to hide the axis. Now, what I want to do is I want to create an assembly from this part. And again, this isn't in the book. I just want to show you one of the advantages of doing configuration of parts. So I'm going to create an assembly. And I'm going to put that O-ring in there. And I'm holding down my control key, and I'm going to put 3 copies of the O-ring. Kind of looks like the Olympics. Okay. And I'm going to do a rebuild and save. And I'm just going to call it O-ring assembly. Okay. And what I want is I'm going to say I want this one to be medium, and then I'll green check. And I want this one to be small, and I'll green check. So see, it's the same file. How cool is that? But I have all 3 different versions of it in my I have all 3 versions of it in one file. So this is why configurations are so cool. You can create one file that has multiple versions of the same part and put it in an assembly or in several different assemblies. So it makes it very, very versatile. Any questions about that?
Could you just show how you did that one more time?
Wait.
Just how you selected the multiple sizes.
Okay, so if you select a part, notice right up here, it shows me the list of all the sizes I have available. And then I can just click the size I want and green check. See that? So
Yeah, okay.
So that's pretty cool because I can have different versions of the same part in the same file. So that's pretty cool to me. And I've done that with like labels where I'll have different versions of the same label. So I might have a serial number label and a part number label, and they're different sizes and they show different text. And you enable one text and you suppress another text, and it makes it really, really cool. And so I really like doing it that way. So here I have this O-ring. I want to show you how I want your drawings to be. Now, some of you have already, I want to say Sam or Zach have already handed in the O-ring drawing. I can't remember which one of you. One person has already handed me the O-ring drawing. They were an eager beaver. But I want to walk you through how I want you to create the O-ring drawings so that your chances of getting an A right off the bat are pretty good. So I'm gonna say I want to make a drawing from this. And I'm not going to use the existing drawing, and I'll use my drawing millimeter because we're going to use the metric sizes. Okay, and I'm going to have a front view, a top view, and an isometric view. Okay, and I want my isometric view to be shaded. And the first thing I want to do is I want to hide those origins because that's annoying and obnoxious. So I go up to view, hide show, turn off the origins, and I don't see them anymore. Okay. And this is going to be like a tabulated part. And you're all familiar with tabulated parts. If you've ordered anything from a catalog, whether it was a bookcase or a t-shirt or a table, it would have a table, you know, it would have a table in the catalog, and you pick whether you want small, medium, or large, and the t-shirt looks the same. It's just the size is different depending on whether it's a small, medium, or large t-shirt. So it's kind of the same thing. We're going to do the overall diameter, and then for the width, in order to get the thickness, it's not gonna necessarily let you select like that. There we go. Okay. So basically I selected these two edges to get the thickness, but I don't want to show the sizes because I'm going to do a table. So I'm going to rename this. All right. And I'm going to say, instead of the dimension, and notice the dimension has the less than and greater than symbol, because that's the value, whatever the value is. I want it to show text. Oops. Okay, so I want to show text, and that text is going to be basically referring to my table value. And then I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say this is the OD, overall diameter. Okay, so I've got the thickness and the overall diameter. But now I need the table, like you would see the table in a catalog. So I'm going to come up to tables, general table. Remember, I was talking about general table at the beginning of the class. So I look for the general table, and I don't necessarily need a template. And I want 3 columns, and I want 4 rows. Okay, and I'm going to agree, check. There's my table. Okay, and my header's going to be, and this is where you don't need Excel. So you could just create your O-ring if you don't have Excel and can't create the configurations, and use the general table, because the general table isn't linked to anything. It's not using Excel. Okay, and so this is the size. This is the OD, and this is the thickness. Okay, and if I go back to my sizes, right? I have small, I have medium, and I have large. And this is 100, and I can just use the tab key to go over. And this is 150. This is 4. And this is 200. And this is 5. Okay. Now I'll just, so to get an A on this homework assignment, I want 3 views: the front view, the top view, and the isometric view. I want 2 dimensions, one for the thickness, one for the overall diameter. And then I want the table. And notice the location of the table. I don't have the table down here because that's where the parts list goes. I don't have the table up here because that's where the revision block normally goes. I don't have the table down here because that's where general notes normally go. I want the table like somewhere in the middle of the drawing. Okay, so as long as you have that, you're in pretty good shape. And then the other thing that I will ding you on is this, whatever this value is, if this says THK, this should say THK. If this says OD, this should say OD. Okay, if this has numbers in it instead of letters, you're going to get dinged. If this says DIA for diameter and this says OD, you're going to get dinged because they don't match. So whatever these headers are here, whatever these values are here, they need to match the values for the headers in the general table. Does that make sense?
I had one question.
Okay.
When I went to Smart Dimension, the top view of the ring,
Uh-huh.
kept on saying that there was like sufficient dimensioning on it, or here, let me click it one time. It says a selected silhouette.
Yeah, you can, a lot of times it'll give you an error. So I'll show you a way around the error. If you give it like a wireframe, like that, you might be able to select this like that, okay? And then change the, see, this is giving me the radius and not the diameter. But if I right click on it and display options, see right here, it says display as diameter. I can click on it and it'll display it as a diameter. And then I can change this to say thickness like that.
I still had nothing to select.
Okay, because normally if you go, you know, for my initial diameter, I selected this edge and this edge like that. So I selected this edge and this edge. Another way you can do it, I mean, you know, I'll show you a couple different ways you can do it to kind of, because I realize that this top view can be kind of difficult, is I'm going to switch this back to hidden line. Another workaround is to go to sketch and select the point tool here and place a point here and place a point here. Okay. And then do a dimension from those 2 points. Okay. And then drawing view 2. And then you should be able to come down here and turn off the visibility of sketches. And then you should be able to hide that point. So, okay, so I went hide show and say hide points. And then you don't see the points anymore. Okay, so that's another way to do it. Okay, so I give you a couple of different ways you can work around it. And if I do see the points, I won't ding you for the points because I know that this is kind of a pain. Okay. Any questions?
Putting the points worked at least, but that's actually a really good workaround.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you all sorts of workarounds. And as long as it works, we're good. Any other questions?